In Health Watch this morning, important topics that are making headlines here in Houston and across the country.
That's right. And we're getting some very good help from a famous expert. We're talking about Dr. Oz. He's here in the Fox 26 studio all morning. And Doc, good morning. Pleasure meeting you.
I got my license, my voter registration taken care of. I live in Houston now. We'll be here for a couple hours.
We want to talk to you about a couple of things. First off, Ebola. It came into the country surprisingly. We knew it was in West Africa. Has the U.S. government done enough to control it and let people know what's actually going on?
I don't think anyone's done enough to deal with it in West Africa, which is where we have to win the battle. With regards to this country, it's easy to be harsh on the CDC and the government, but it's hard to do something for the first time. Effectively, when the first case came into this country that was uncontrolled, Mr. Duncan, it was like jumping out of an airplane with a parachute pack on your back. You got to pull the drip cord, but you've never done it before. So the mistake, if any, was that we gave people too much confidence that we knew what we were doing. The reality is that we're figuring it out. We don't have it all figured out yet. There will be more cases. I'm not trying to alarm people. That's just the reality. There'll be probably 3 cases a month that come out of West Africa to Western countries. So we're going to have to deal with it over and over again, including a lot of ethical issues, like do you quarantine healthcare workers who come back for 3 weeks? These have made big court cases now around the country, but it's part of our challenge as a nation. And this is a dry run. We will have more Ebola-style viruses hit our country, because at its very core, Ebola is a dumb virus. Right? It doesn't transmit very easily, and it kills its hosts. So it's not going to spread that quickly, so we can control it when it does come here.
Don't you think there are a lot more concerns for us of things that you actually are probably or could contract? Enterovirus is an example of that. It's a big concern for children right now.
Ebola is just like a wake-up call, but the bigger problem is enterovirus than the common cold or the flu. Enterovirus is a virus that historically was not that prevalent. Been around 50 years, but this year it just dwarfed all prior years in its magnitude. It seems to be associated in some cases with paralysis, but more importantly with kids who have asthma or other respiratory problems, it kills you. So it's one of the reasons that if you get a fever, you think you might have the flu, you've got to be more aggressive about it if kids have respiratory symptoms.
Something else I'm interested in that is, why is it affecting children who have diabetes more than others too? What is that? Because the respiratory and the asthma makes sense, but diabetes is so hard to figure out.
Across the board, when you have diabetes, especially as a child, you often have an autoimmune problem. Something has killed your pancreas, so it often weakens the immune system. It might be why we're seeing more problems and complications with it, but the reality is enterovirus hopefully will begin to slow down now. So it's not going to be a big problem through the holidays. Most of these viruses are late summer, early fall. The big issue we should be talking about is the flu.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you about, because this time of year, we always have flu shots being offered at drugstores, just about every place. But which flu is it? Because there's one flu that one vaccine works on, then there's another flu that vaccine does not work on.
So here's the story. Every year in the spring, the big vaccine manufacturers go to Southeast Asia and try to predict which of those viruses will come to this country by the time our winter comes around. And so they are making a guess. We pick the 4 that are most common as scientists, and then we try to aim. But that doesn't always work. Last year wasn't a particularly good vaccine, but it's the best we have. And especially this year, listen, you're worried about Ebola. There are 200,000 people a year who go to the hospital, 30,000 who die a year from the virus causing the flu. So if you're going to pick a year to get a flu vaccine, this is the year. I'll get on my hands and knees, Melissa. Please, I'm praying. It is, listen, I don't want people to feel like chattel. I don't want you to feel like you're a bad person if you don't get the vaccine. Healthcare workers should really get it, because we can spread the virus pretty rapidly. But this is a good year to avoid being confused with the Ebola, with enterovirus. It's also a good year to keep off your back, which is the real threat. Not that it'll die or you'll get hurt from it badly, but that you'll be sick for a week, and why would you bother?
Well, then you're going to be happy to know that my arm's really sore right now from my flu shot. I'm a medical reporter, so I get it.
What a charmer.
I know, but I'm happy it covers 4 strains this year. I think that has got to be helpful. It's got to help protect you more than usual.
You know, it's always a guessing game, but if you're covering 4 of the most common ones that we predict, we'll be right on a couple of them.
Well, there's nothing worse than having the flu. It's just so miserable. You don't want to get out of bed for a week. It can change the bottom line of your paycheck and everything else.
And this year, you have to add in the unknown mystery of whether you have something more severe, like enterovirus or, God forbid, Ebola.
What about those folks who get the flu shot and say they get the flu from the shot?
Let's just go over this 1 second. So the flu shot is made up of a dead virus. There's nothing alive in it at all. You might get a reaction to the flu shot, sore arm, for example, a little sniffles, but you're not going to get the actual flu. Usually what happens is this, Jose. Someone is at work and they look around and everyone's getting the flu. They say, oh my goodness, I better get my flu shot. I don't get the flu like those guys. It's too late. You already got the flu. It takes a few weeks for the vaccine to work. You come down with the illness 2 or 3 days later because you were going to get it anyway, and you associate it. One little tip for a lot of folks, especially people younger than the age of 50, the inhaled version of the flu actually works really well. May even work better for some people. That way there's no needles, nothing to be fearful of. You just literally stuff it into your nose like you're taking an anti-decongestant, and it works really well.
Dr. Oz, thank you so very much for being here. You're going to stick around because you're going to be back in the next half hour.
I'm watching.
Isn't it nice to have this
Yeah.
brilliant mind in the house? We are going to use and abuse you today. We have so many questions
I
for
am
you.
looking forward to it. I brought a surprise show and tell gift for you guys.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Plus, I want to watch your broadcast.
I can't wait. Well, Houston has really embraced you. We have been
Yes.
getting questions, hundreds, but every single day this week. So we're going to have a lot of fun today with you.
Exactly. And we want to let you know that you can catch Dr. Oz's show weekdays at 1 p.m. on Fox 26.